Hello, everyone. My name is Karen Davis, and I am the Communications Director for the Camera Club of Richmond. We are happy to have everyone here today. We're doing another one of our CCR spotlights, and our spotlight today is featuring one of our members and their work, and we do a video interview, and then we create an article for our monthly newsletter, The Southern Exposure. So for July 2022, we are spotlighting one of CCR's award-winning members, Bill Whitworth, Professor Bill Whitworth, I should add. Bill is not only a member of the Camera Club of Richmond, but also the Virginia Professional Photographers Association, the Professional Photographers of America, and a few other local and online groups. So Bill, welcome. Thanks for agreeing to a CCR spotlight. I hear that you've had some recent awards and accolades, but before we talk about those, can you tell us a little something about yourself?
Okay, hi Karen, nice to be here. I really appreciate being selected for the spotlight. Real honor, not sure I deserve it, but a little bit about myself. I'm a native Richmonder, or Richmond and its environs, close into Richmond. And I've lived here all of my 77 years, graduated from University of Richmond in 1968, went to work for Travelers Insurance Company in the claims department, did that for 14 years. And then I became a licensed private investigator working for attorneys, law firms that make claims against the very insurance company that I work for and others. And that's where my love of photography was sparked, because I found out that I could increase my income if I could reach a certain level of proficiency in photography, because there was a lot of need for photographing individuals who'd been injured in accidents and their injuries, and also where the accidents took place. And so luckily, at the time in the 1980s, the early 80s, 1983, one of the local community colleges, J. Sargent Reynolds, had a really comprehensive photography program. And we did of course, it's film, but we printed, and we even printed in color. We had a color printer, and we did studio work, studio photography with models and things like that, studio lighting, and it was very comprehensive. And I got a certificate in photography from Reynolds. I took 16 hours. That's how many hours of classes you had to take. Unfortunately, they don't have all of that anymore. I did take one digital class from them in about 9 years ago, but they've lost their photography program. So that got me started. I was doing great, taking a lot of pictures, getting paid for it, and not even having a high level of proficiency, but having fun with it. And then I decided after 7 years of that I wanted to try teaching. So I went back to University of Richmond, got a master's degree in history. And while I was there, I met another one of their Camera Club of Richmond members, none other than the former membership director herself, Ling Whitworth. And she was in the very same program, and she had just been invited over from China by the University of Richmond to study. So we got together and got married, and of course, then I began teaching at VCU, adjunct faculty, and at J. Sargent Reynolds. And anyway, Ling's now, as we all know, very much interested in photography. Oh yeah, a little more personal information. Ling and I live in Goochland County now on 7.5 acres, and we have 2 children. Both of them happen to be Labrador retrievers, and we walk them every day and have a big time with them. But so anyway, that's some background information.
All right. And I believe you mentioned to me when we talked earlier that there was a special member of the camera club that has been a wonderful mentor to you and Lee over
Oh,
the years.
absolutely.
Tell us about that relationship.
My mentor, yes, in terms of my development as a photographer, Doug. Uh, um,
Yeah, Doug Turner.
yeah, Doug Turner, of course.
Yeah,
Doug.
our wonderful treasurer.
Yeah, I spent Lee and I both have spent hours and hours with Doug, and he's been very generous with his time. And we enjoy printing. We've got a printer, and Doug had one just like it, and he's come over and helped us learn a lot about printing and Lightroom and Photoshop and what gear to select. The computer we have for our photography work, for instance, Doug told us which one to get. So he's been a big, I've learned more from Doug than I have from any of the classes I've taken. It's been really fortunate, really, really lucky. He's a real encyclopedia of knowledge.
He is. That's terrific. So yeah. I guess Doug has been your encyclopedia and your mentor and your motivator, but where do you find your creative inspiration? What do you really like to shoot?
Well, you know, I think everybody evolve over time. And I told you about the work part I did, but then I got interested in doing things like photographing hummingbirds and, you know, and butterflies and stuff like that. But now we're up to being primarily interested in activity, motion, sports, very much interested in triathlons, volleyball, polo, especially polo, and horse races, and anything with a lot of action, a lot of activity. And so we've kind of gotten more and more away from other things and more into that, as a matter of fact. And if it moves and it has a lot of color, that I'm interested in it.
All right.
And that
is so impressive because that is so hard to do.
Well, I used to. I spent 10 years as a long distance runner, and then 18 years as a long distance cyclist. And of course, that's for me. That's another reason I have such an affinity for photographing that. We've been lucky that this young man that puts on a lot of charitable events involving triathlons and biathlons, et cetera, we photographing all of his things now, and we've been doing all of his big triathlon with over 1,000 people. We've been doing that for about 5 years. So.
Yeah, that is terrific.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
if you're an official at something like that, you get to get up in front of everybody else. You don't have to hold your camera up high, so it works much better.
It does. And I have seen some of those pictures. So let's show them.
Oh,
some of those pictures. I'm going to bring up a couple of the ones and have you tell us a little bit about some of your wonderful photos. We're going to start with one that I think you told me earlier was one of your favorite photos and has won some awards. So let's talk about those awards.
All right. Which one are we talking about now?
All right. This is the 1920s Movie Palace, I believe is its title.
Yeah, it was titled the 1920s Movie Palace when it won some pretty significant awards. But ironically, I've also this year, I'm entering it in the end of the year competition with us. And I've renamed it for that occasion. I've renamed it what it is, and that's the Bird Theater. So it'll resonate more with people that live in Richmond. And this one, during the lockdown period of the pandemic, Bird Theater, of course, as well as other theaters, were closed. And the Richmond Photography Group, Robert Pfeiffer, rented it for us to have a meetup in it. And the management lit it as it would be lit if were customers coming in. And we just had a field day, and there was only about 8 or 9 people that went, and we were in there for 2 hours. And I waited until everybody left because I was the last one in there, and I was on the very top row because obviously you get out of the photographers in your picture, and then that's not good for this particular setting. But of course, on a tripod and slow exposure. Mm-hmm. And this particular picture, entered it in the Virginia, the VPPA, the Virginia Photography Professional Photographers Association, and won not only a merit, they give merits if they appreciate it, but also the Best Architectural Portrait Award. And that was a couple of years ago. And then I entered it in the Professional Photography Association, the parent group, sent it to them first to their district level competition, and it won they call it sealed. They seal it, which means it can go on to the next international level. And it went to the international level, and I won the it was put into the excellence collection, or the top category, and they bind them all in the book actually, and you get the book, all the winners, all the people that get to that level. And of course it's international, so there's a lot of competition. They have 7 judges. And but anyway, that's it for that.
That is just a stunning image. I hope you have it up on your wall somewhere at home.
I do. But it has
All right.
It has to be properly lit. You know, it's great when it's on a computer screen because it's backlit, because it's really it's so dark in the theater, you'd have trouble walking up and down the steps anyway. So it has to be well lit. But I do have it on the wall. I have this next one on the wall also, this sharing his music.
Yes, sharing his music.
That young man was very, he was a willing subject. We didn't run up and grab or anything like that. He was happy to have his picture taken. And so I took quite a few pictures of him. This is the best one. He was on Curry Street in Richmond, right next to the Bird Theater, as a matter of fact. And I decided to turn him into black and white because some of the colors, there was too much clashing of colors. Mm-hmm. And that's been juried into a show at Crossroads Art Center and in Artworks here in Richmond. And it's won this year as a black and white, not second place in the Camera Club. But that's one of my favorites. I really like that, and got it framed, got it up on my wall at home. I just really like it.
Yeah, that tells quite the story.
Yeah.
All right.
Portrait of a young lady.
Yes.
This one, best color print for the Camera Club in 2018. Best color print. Mm-hmm. And of course, that was taken in a studio with strobe lights. But that's also this adds a little variety to the kind of pictures I usually take.
Absolutely. So these were some of your earlier things.
Yeah, they're earlier.
Yeah, and so now let's move into what you said your first love is, that motion.
Okay, motion. Finishing the swim. This is the triathlon festival that we photograph every year, and obviously swim, bike, and then run. Well, these young men are just coming up out of the pool, not pool, it's a big lake here in Richmond at Innsbruck. And this particular one, I've sent it. It's at the Professional Photographers Association, and they've in the district. It's gone to the district level already, and it's been sealed. And the next step is in July, I send it on to the international competition, and hopefully it'll do well. But
Awesome. And again, what a story that tells. You know, a question, were there only men in this competition, or were there men and women, or do they do them separately?
Wonderful question. Wonderful question. No, this is not a male oriented. This is male only, but there are over 1,000 athletes at this triathlon festival, and they have many different races. They're not, full Ironman or something like that. So first comes the women, then comes the men. Then they have children as young as 11 years old, 11 to 16, etc. And then they have adults. These folks coming up out of the water here are 16 to 19-year-old men.
Okay.
And then, in fact, go ahead.
I was gonna say, and then once they finish their swim, what's first, the swim or the bike?
Now the swim's first, then they're going to run barefoot. They're barefoot, and they've got to run a long way up to get to their bicycles. And they've already got their shoes clipped in, sitting there on their bicycle. So they stick their feet in there, and since they're wearing wetsuits, because it's a little bit cool, they're going to pull those long pants off, and then they'll have shorts, and they'll do the bike ride, and then after that they'll run.
Wow.
These young, can we go to number 5?
Yes.
Yeah,
and we saved one of the most special ones for last, because if you get your July 2022 Southern Exposure, this is going to be our cover shot.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. I'm really excited about that. I really love this picture, but let's talk about the one in between, the many miles to go.
Oh, I didn't put that one in the mix. I'm sorry. That was the run picture. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Well, that's a bike, ladies' bike.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be. It's not in the mix. Many miles to go, but that's okay. But anyway, okay, we're going to talk about the last one. We're going to talk about professional cyclists. Now, this one is from the 2016 event that Richmond was fortunate enough to get, which was the international top-level cyclists from all around the world. Men and women came to Richmond. And of course, I was thrilled with that. And this particular photograph is of one of the athletes, and he is doing a time trial. They're doing their time trials, and they ride individually, and they're based on time. So there isn't another cyclist immediately next to, behind, or in front of this particular individual. And the location of this, they picked Richmond because Richmond is so quaint and scenic, and of course he's coming down, and this is right on the cusp of Stewart and Monument Avenues in Richmond, and he's on Stewart and just about to enter the big circle. And of course, I'm leaning over as far as I can without disturbing anybody, without causing a crash, and getting them, and being able to concentrate on one rider. And I was lucky to get this fella, and I love the fact that he had the unique goggles on that totally reflect his hands. They reflect his hands, and you can't see his eyes, but you can't have both. But anyway, and of course, yes, this has been in juried in at Artworks and at Crossroads Art Center, and I've definitely got it on my wall. And it's, oh, I know, at the Virginia, at the BPPA, I won the best, this was selected as the best picture by an aspiring member. That was my first year there, and I wasn't a full member as yet. That was the first year, so best aspiring member photograph. So it has won something.
Yes, it has quite a pedigree.
A pedigree, yeah, I like the way you put that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, congratulations on all of those wonderful awards, and all the beautiful pictures.
Oh,
and that has sort of led you to the next phase and a recent accomplishment. We wanted you to tell us a little bit about your new designation as a certified professional photographer, and what you had to go through to achieve that designation.
Thank you. CPP, Certified Professional Photographer. That's with the Professional Photographers of America, and you it involves a lot of study, but it's not a class. Well, they do have study groups. I was in a study group, that's true, that met once a week for something like 8 weeks, and but it's primarily self-study. And the PPA they have videos by I'll call him a photography scholar that you can watch, and he's talking about what's going to be on the test. You have to take this test, and then you can read about it also. And then a lot of it for us is the knowledge we've acquired as photographers. So then you take a test, 100 questions, and they're multiple choice, 100 questions. So I did that. And then for me, the hard part was studio lights. I purchased some studio lights in order to be able to photograph this series of objects that you have to buy. And you buy them from a certain art store. They have to be exactly the correct item, or they won't accept it. And then you have to set them a certain way, and you put them on a piece of gray material. But anyway, a lot of it is it's difficult to believe it or not. It looks really simple. You think it's going to be really simple, but it's difficult to situate them in a way that you can photograph it, and for them to accept it, then you have to send it in. The first time I did it, I did not pass, so I had to do it again, wait 3 months. So it wasn't that easy. That was the hard part. The easy part was the written test.
Wow. And this from a professor. Okay. I love it. Okay. Well, that is awesome. So you're able to use the CPP logo and designation. And
yes. Yeah. I put
terrific.
it on my card, and you can do that. And of course, somebody that has a professional business with, they all put it up if they have it, and it means a lot to them.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
For me, it's just a way to learn. To learn. I just did it to learn.
Super. Well, congratulations on that award and all the other awards and the beautiful photos. So in closing, any final thoughts or favorite quotes you'd like to share with us?
Just that my final thought is that I found my true love of photography, and I just love it more and more and more. The longer I do it and the older I get, never lose interest in it. Never lose interest.
That's for sure. There's always something to learn.
Of course, I have to say that about history too. I teach history, and I really like that. I never lose interest in that either. That's why I still do it.
All right. Well, good for you, and thank you. So thanks, Bill, Professor
Thank you,
Whitworth.
Karen.
We appreciate you sharing your time and your talents and all your lovely images with us today. So again, check out the cover of our July 2022 Southern Exposure to see Bill's article and his cover photo and more of his work. All right. Thank you, Bill. Have a great day.
Thanks, Karen. All right. Bye-bye.